Hey, what's good, people? This is the Option Podcast. This is episode 142. That guy looks like Bryan McDermand. I don't know. Sometimes he got a mustache, sometimes he's clean shaven. But we're going to
Yeah,
find out, okay, people? The episode starts right now. Dude, sorry about that. That was loud.
it's all good.
What's up, people? You've asked and he's returned. Got to give the people what they want. Got to give the people what they want. That's Bryan McDermand. How you doing, brother?
Doing great.
Yeah,
Just
man.
finished up first day of our older kids camp outside. So summer is upon us. It's been a long time coming in regards to kind of having a full group again. Things have been kind of weird in the Midwest and running our program, but got new coaches that are doing really well. Kids are learning. I've actually been coaching a lot of adults recently. So was kind of a weird couple of years, but I feel like we're kind of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. So how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Recently I'm at LA Volleyball Club, just doing 13s indoor. Jo Jason Hall is
It's
the
a fun
program director.
age.
Dane might work with our beach program a little bit, but I've been hired to do both. It's because I'm one of those. I'm everywhere. So,
Jack of all
and it's a good
trades.
time. Let's just put it this way. Anytime you run a practice, and we talked about it before the podcast, where there's this learning curve and there's constant motion. And at the end, you ask, what did we learn? And like everyone like raises their hand. It's like, damn, you need extra time, just for the end, like the cool down stretch, you're doing that. So,
Yeah.
so good times for me. And I'm glad, things are formulating for you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 142. This is the Option Podcast along with my man, Bryan McDermand from Progression Beach Volleyball in Chicago, Illinois. I'm Jason DeBillius. I think I said that already. And my title is podcaster.
Like I
so
said,
we,
Jack of all trades, man. You do
yeah,
it all.
man. And hey, and now they shall call me master. So one of the things we have in common is our emphasis on as coaches is taking care of things we can control. Great coaches throughout every sport, in fact, have team success following the trail of this fundamentally important attribute to players, coaches, and other. So, Bryan, I want you to pick three things that are either on court controllables or three things that are off court controllables. You're going to do one, and I'm going to do the other, okay? So, what are three
Right.
things that you tell your kids that you will always have more
One or the
control?
other.
Yes.
Oh, you want me to do on
I want
or
you to
off,
pick,
and then you do the
yes,
other?
you're going to pick
Okay.
three on, and I'll pick three off, or you pick three off, and I'll pick three on. All right?
All right.
Bryan McDermand, three controllables. The floor is yours.
In a minute, huh? All right. I'll do on the court. First one, the serve. The serve is the one thing that's just you and the ball. I've seen almost every match that I've seen a team on paper that probably shouldn't have won the match. If you can get that other team out of system, they're just like everyone else. So serving for pace, serving for location, serving for different heights. Like, how are you using your serve to make the other team more uncomfortable? Number two, I'd say the intent, right? Like knowing your partner, your strengths, your weaknesses, what's your strategy to be successful? For the other team, knowing what their strengths and weaknesses are they hitters, shooters? They're working cross line. Are you setting your offense and defense up to make sense for them? Third one that we control every time, just our demeanor and our competitive drive. And I think sometimes we think competitive, we think love to win, hate to lose. To me, competitive is how bad can things be going on the court, and you're doing the controllables, the same fire, the same intensity, the same positive aggression every single time.
Nice. So
Ooh,
you like the horn? That's a hard stop, and
man,
and timing is
three
everything.
things in a
You
minute.
are the master, dude. And you know what? Look, we'll explore after that, but for because there's a bunch of controllables I think we'd like to explore beyond that. But for now,
I hope Kristen
um,
doesn't watch this because I think she's going to put a minute timer on everything that I talk about.
oh man, it's like you wouldn't believe the day I had today, honey. You got 60 seconds and go. All right, so my turn. Controllables off the court. One of my major controllables off the court is your general nutrition, right? Nobody can make you eat like shit. No one can make you eat junk food. You can control that the amount of times you day that you do that, and instill some discipline with commensurate with diet recommendations. Two, your time in the weight room, right? Nobody can make you do the extra rep. No one can make you stay, or no one can make you leave, and no one can make you instill a discipline. Again, commensurate with training and recommendations based on whether you have studies or based on when you have a coach where experience is experience. experience. All right. 3, showing up on time. Show up and showing up to places ready to go. You know what I'm saying? Getting adequate sleep and showing up on time. I think those are not strange best bedfellows, but kissing cousins. So I'm going to put them both in the same category. And those are 3 major off-court controllables. And we're gonna give each other permission to explore a little bit more as we count down to the end of this. But those are my 3 major off-court controllables. So, I love what you said, man. I love what you said about on court. I'd also like to include like your starting position, right, on the court. Like if you're indoor, like base 1, base 2, base 3, or right, your starting position. No one can make you play out of position, right? In system setting, right? If you get a good pass, the other team can't make you set poorly, right?
Sure.
And I'm sure you have. I guess my follow-up question before we go to the next topic, because this is about you. Is this a conversation you have? When outdoor conditions, become, how should I say, adventurous?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, I want my kids to focus and my players to focus on what they can control 100% of the time, all the time. You know what I mean? Like, I believe in primary versus secondary goals. I can't remember if we talked about this on the previous one. So my secondary goals are the things that I want, but never 100% control. So obviously any tournament victory, any accolades, right? Anything that the supply is exceeded by the demand, right? Like, you can want those things, but I don't want that to be what you base your self-esteem, how you base your confidence off of, in the aspect of you can do all the right things and you can't control, everything around you, right? The primary goals are kind of the things we just talked about, which is, what do you have 100% of the time, no matter what, that you can do to make sure that even if you're not your best that day, that it's the best it can be, right? Like, I'm always trying to say, if you're going to have a bad day physically, don't let it become a worse day mentally, right? And so, we were just in Colorado. Kristen was playing with one of my athletes who's 17. She's going to Arizona. She's a very talented player, but she's just coming in from she was an indoor player that's turned into beach. She puts the time in, but we've been doing it at our indoor facility. And so Colorado was really one of the first really windy days we've been able to experience. And, just kind of learning how to absorb the ball a little bit differently. Like, that had nothing to do with the other side. It wasn't like they hadn't necessarily seen pace like that, but between the elevation and the wind, and frankly, not having a ceiling over us for the first time in a while, it took a couple matches, I think, to really get acclimated to how to absorb that. We took 9th out of 44 teams. I thought they had a really good showing. The teams that beat them, we learned a lot of what we wanted to prepare between now and Muskegon, because they are playing this weekend on Friday. And to me, all these tournaments are measuring sticks. So it's like, we want to make sure that we're controlling what we can control. And when a team shows us that we're not necessarily doing everything as well as them, that gives us an idea of, okay, what should our practices look like between now and the next event? With the excitement of next event, okay, how much better have we gotten? And if we fix that, what are the things that teams are exploiting now, so we know what to work on from that point on? So, I always want people to I've had plenty of days where I've done everything. I've tried to do the right things, and it just hasn't been there physically. And I feel bad when my record at the end of every practice for my girls is going to be 500. The idea that on some days you might be below 500 because the other team's playing that well, or you're just not having your best day, but I like what you're trying to execute. We got to be good to ourselves. Sometimes I think we treat our partners a lot better than we treat ourselves. And that was one of the themes beginning the camp this morning to my players, was like, you're not here to compare yourself to your peers. You're here, so at 12:30, you're better than you were at 10:30. And even if physically you didn't get the things done you wanted, did you learn from those mistakes so that the next time you get put in that situation, you kind of know, okay, what do I need to do differently quicker?
Yeah, I definitely like that. Emphasizing what we have learned. Right, you win or you learn. As it seems like I use a John Mayer reference every time we podcast together. You win or you learn.
It's a good person. It's a good person to reference.
Yeah. Well, honestly, as far as my beach coaching life, between is Oz Borges and him. Those are my I already came in more years of coaching than both of them put together, and You know, the only reason why I got hired is because someone told them I knew how to win. There was a rumor, and that rumor is greatly exaggerated. But my beach acumen came from those guys, and the sayings and the mixture of tough love and positive reinforcement. Because I don't think any championship ring exists with one and the other. So, yeah, man, I like that. We covered that. Controllables. We can go on and on, but let's move on to the next topic.
I like it.
But thanks for indulging at the end. I thought,
Yeah,
there was more to
absolutely.
be said on that minute. So, all right. So, question number 2. Brian, you spent more time coaching than you do spectating. So, this question is going to require some discipline on your part. All right. So,
Boy.
I'll just get right to the point. Which American player, male or female, did you see significant improvement that is now showing on the competitive venues? I'll go first on this one, and you go second. The person I really, really appreciated in the work that she put in is Tony Rodriguez. Tony Rodriguez is a Louisiana product that tore her ACL and her other ACL and lost a scholarship playing for like a Big Ten school or something like that, and didn't get a chance to play. Eventually had that repaired, and then had to have reconstructive surgery on her shoulder, where they literally had to run a tube all the way in her shoulder to get it right, all the way to come back to play for LSU's team, to play for Russell Brock, all the way to being this fantastic blocker on the Australian scene. I think she took 3rd place, and all the way until she got hurt, psychologically tragically hurt at AVP NOLA. Beat Wilkerson, beat Muno. Muno was the one who was getting all the shine on the via the media, Volley Mag, and this and that. And all everyone was talking about was her, and she deserves that recognition too. And she might be another player worth my notice. But I'm going on the female scene on this one. She really, really deserves it, and I hope she comes back strong. Make mine, Tony Rodriguez.
Nice. So yeah, did they? Because I haven't been paying attention. Did they diagnose what exactly the injury was?
All I know is she's out 6 weeks. But when she said she felt pain in the back of her knee, I was thinking like posterior collateral ligament,
Right.
maybe an MCL, PCL, something, depending on which part of the back of the knee. Is that what you? I mean, we're not doctors,
Yeah.
but as former players,
No, I
and
just didn't
coaches,
know if they
we
set
recognize
out.
the symptoms, don't we?
Right. Well, you can see. You know what? The first thing I saw was the picture
Yeah.
of her sitting after, and she had that look that you, when you're an athlete, that this is not. I'm done today. This is
Like, how long
how
do I
long
have
is
to
this
wait till
going
I
to
get
be?
back?
Right.
Yes.
Um.
Yes.
So I saw that, and
Yeah.
that's all I needed to know. But
And
I
I
hadn't
cried.
heard.
I asked my wife, "Is this weird? Why am I crying? I don't cry. Why am I crying? What is this? Is this weird?" And
Because you're
my
an
wife is
athlete.
like, "Yeah, sorry."
Yeah, you're an athlete, and you know how hard players like her work. All the things you just talked about, and you put that work in, and then
Mhm.
it's part of being an athlete, but
Yep.
it's just a chapter added that, and you never know. Like, even no matter how much you want it, you just never know. Are you truly going to come back the same way, right? And again, it's like right at the beginning of summer, right at the beginning of season. Like, there's a lot to it, and so it's we get older. I mean, the room gets dustier. In my 20s, like, it wasn't like a bragging thing. Like, I just buried everything. I'm a typical guy, and as I get in my 30s, I see the right commercial. I'm like, the hell's going on in here, right? So like, I just think as you get older, you get a little more. You feel that human connection to, okay, this isn't me, but I know what that person's going through. I know how hard they've worked, and you feel that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
All right.
hopefully
So
sound good.
with that being said, the floor is yours. 60 seconds. Who?
All right, I'm gonna pick one from each gender. I'm gonna pick Logan Weber on the men's side, and I haven't gotten to watch a ton.
Yes.
But here's the deal: like 5 years ago, I played an indoor Indianapolis sand tournament, and he finished below me. And I remember watching him, and he was an athlete. He was tall, but I mean, he was raw. And I watched, a little bit of the forums, and it's just amazing how certain people nitpick certain athletes. Like, yeah, is he perfect? No. Is he making the mistakes, in my opinion, that someone at his experience level should be making? Yes.
Yeah.
And the dude 5 years later went from like being below me at these tournaments, so he's playing with freaking John Hyden. So
Yeah. Making it to Sunday. Yeah.
yeah. So he's my guy. Like, I think he's still on his way up, and I think he's going to be good. On the women's side, keep an eye out for what Kim Hildreth's about to do, because I know she just kind of played with Katie Spieler, and she was kind of the big, and now I'm interested in what she's going to do in Muskegon with Denneberg. And I've known her
Wow.
since the NVL days. She works as hard as anyone. She's very competitive. I feel pretty good about, where she's heading.
Her and Schermerhorn were
Yeah.
that was an NVL product, right? That was like
Well, no,
them
she
against
played.
Kaya in the finals, like all the fucking time.
Skirmahorn, what? No, she played with Marina who actually plays with my girlfriend
Right.
for a year, and now she's on the Ukrainian beach national team, which who knows what that's going to be like. They're doing well, luckily, but so Kim and Marina, they had won an NVL. I think Marina was rookie of the year. I think at one point Kim was like best defender, best setter, fan favorite, all that. But like I just remember I attended when she was in Chicago, she did a training session, and her husband Kibby was there, and I was playing with Marina's husband. So we all trained together, and that practice, and she's a product, I think, of Raquel Ferreira was someone she learned under, but Kim, like, I was impressed by how she practiced as much as any athlete I ever played beach with. And so to see her continue to go up, it's always tough when you're in that, like, you're at the mid level of the main draw, kind of top of the tour series level. Like, it's hard to kind of secure your partner, especially with it's been a weird couple of years, but I really feel good about the direction she's heading. I like the way she competes, and I think she's going to find that partner that's kind of wired the same way. And when it clicks, look out. And I think, with Dienenberg, it's going to be interesting to see what they do.
I like that we both pick people who aren't exactly on the media radar either, right? I mean, two people who are flying under the radar who are actually doing things more just as worthy or noteworthy as people who are. And I guess when it's their turn to get noticed, I really hope they do. And because Hildreth is a great choice, and Logan, time to put some respect in that boy's name, right? He made it to Sunday on AVP Austin, so with John
Yeah.
Hyden, and looks like he can play with just about anyone. Him and Evan Corey had a nice run at the end last year, if you remember, winning
Mm-hmm.
Seaside, which got him a
Yeah.
bid, winning Wapaka, which got them a bid, winning Coconut Beach for an extra bid, whatever for the hell. Yep. And I like that. So, and yeah, some about ACLs and MCLs and PCLs, man. I mean, I'm glad that have evolved scientifically because when I grew up, if you tore your ACL, that
Yeah.
was it.
The
That was a
science
wrap.
was,
That was a
you were
wrap.
never
You
coming
could
back the same, but
you never play again. You're just done. That's your career, So, well, I'm 50, so I like your pick. I like mine. So, topic 3. This one you're gonna go first, and this one came from actually a fan. It's a fan question.
ooh,
It seems that Phil has decided to roll off the couch in Florida and come back and play beach. It's a fan. Hold on. To roll off the couch and come back and play beach volleyball the only way he remembers how, in dominant fashion. The first tournament, we saw him play a little back row D to win out. And in the most recent stop in NOLA, we watched him win with a familiar face. As far as cracking the finals code is concerned, that is a familiar face. I get that. So with 2 consecutive appearances on the tour, both wins, the question is, which team can derail the Phil train?
could Phil and John Sutton be the answer? Just kidding. I don't know this
That was this
cat at
morning.
all. Yeah. I don't
Someone
know
said that this
anything.
morning.
I don't know anything about it, but yeah. So that's my playful answer. So what you're really asking is like the men's teams. Look, I've seen Troy play more serious with Chase Budinger. I'm pleasantly surprised with some of his defensive prowess. I didn't expect him to make that transition as smoothly. There are moments where you still see where it's not a knock, it's just my observation, where he's getting into it with the crowd to a point where it's like, there's things I feel you should be paying attention to that you're not, right? But Troy is a defender, and I think Chase is just doing fantastic. I think that team's only going to get better if Chase and Troy stay together, right? And I've heard some people say rumblings. I think I'm cautiously optimistic. And I think Sander as a defender with a decent block would be interesting as well. I don't know if he's going to stick it out. I can't, is this just something to rest his knees a little bit before going back to indoor? Is he super serious? Phil said, I felt it, but Phil put it in a way that I didn't even think of it. Like, I like the idea of him being a defender so he can really crank that jump and not have to worry about running up.
It definitely green lighted him, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Benesh too, who has a good one. So
yeah. So we'll see. It's hard in June to look at the first 2 tournaments and say, is this what this team really is? Or are they kind of getting back to form? Right. So, but I watching a little bit of international ball with Chase and Troy early, I was like, this has a lot more legs than I originally anticipated. But selfishly, like, I'd love to see Chase and Sander. I think that's a team I would be interested in seeing what they would do.
I'd like to talk a little bit about Troy Field when I'm done with my minute. So I'm just making a mental reminder because I actually saw him practicing this morning, and even periodically I stick my head out there. Every time I stuck my head out there, he's been out there, and it looks like a better learning curve. And Coach Mike Campbell is a very capable coach. He's the head coach at Long Beach State, and he's the one that's coaching Chase Budinger and Troy Field. They were
Nice.
actually scrimmaging Bill Kalinsky and Evan Corey.
Nice.
And David Lee and Sean Cook were together out there too, so that might be a team to watch.
I haven't seen David all yet. It's
Yeah.
exciting. So
Well, he's going to podcast next week, so
very
we'll
cool.
keep our ears peeled for that one. All right, so my turn. Who's the team that's gonna take the old dog, take him out in the yard, and pull the trigger? All right, nobody really that much because he's not an old dog and because he's never really had wear and tear because the moves he makes on the court don't require wear and tear. So he's got Phil's IQ from 2022. He's got Phil's physical prowess from 2008. Still not that much of a curve, not that much of a drop off where he's still doing it. But there is one team I know once they get that number, they're going to beat them all the time, and that's Trevor Crabb and Tri Bourne. Trevor and Tri on the international scene have enjoyed more success than they have on a domestic tour because of reasons where whatever they learn, their game has not evolved and is not constantly changing and ever changing, very much like Jordan and some of these other greats. But they got a new coach. Jose Loyola was their coach, but now Leandro is their coach, and Leandro is part of that crew with Arturo and Pompeo. And those guys are all about reps, but not just that. They're all about taking things and finding ways to change up. So every time you scrimmage against these guys, you need to have something a little bit different because it becomes stale. And when it becomes stale, there are guys beating you on the domestic tour that international teams couldn't possibly do to you. So I'm optimistic and not hopeful because I know Leandro and I know his style. And to you and me, coaches are everything. I laid into some of these players on a previous podcast about getting a good coach, right? And international good coaches are a foregone conclusion. It's not even a question. So make mine Tri and Trevor, and I think they're gonna crack the code. I also think Budinger, Troy are good for the sport because of the interaction, right? Troy hamming it up with the fans shouldn't do it the same way Casey Patterson is because those are personalities, and we're not entirely sold that Troy is Casey on that ham it up with the fans level, right? But that's a good team, man. Two guys that crack the code. They always find their way into the finals, winning or losing. Casey, Phil, I still like. Not a lot. I just like no more or less than anybody else. But Casey, I adore because he's just really good for the sport and what he's doing on the youth scene. Yeah, man, mad love to him. So
I feel like we don't talk enough about how ahead of the curve he was in regards to like you just didn't have 6-7 defenders. And it wasn't just because Phil and Benish just did it. You look at other sports, you look at basketball and how point guards were never, aside from Magic and Penny, you really didn't have tall point guards, right?
no,
And
yeah.
now you look at the league and once people just started getting refined at earlier ages, that changed. And so I'm shocked that, I brought up Logan Weber and I'm just throwing this out there. Like that's a guy that I look at what he has and I'm like with the right development, if he was willing to do so, he could be an incredible defender. And you start putting teams together with physicality like that and just a violent, high hitting side out game. And it's just hard pressed to believe that at some point you're not going to see a wave of 6'6" to 6'9" guys say, I could block, but I've got the versatility and the interest in learning how to be a defender.
Yeah. The teams in the GOAT conversation are the ones that split block. I mean, right? Brazil had two of them. The Latvian split block, right? Karch and Steph is split block. Of course, that's before Beach as a game has evolved, right? And yeah, you're right. Wouldn't be surprised to see more of that.
That was something like when Kristen played with Marina for a year. They won with PACA in 2017 and made 3 NVL. Kristen made a couple NVL draws. Like the thing that was so fun about, I think the other thing that we don't appreciate with split blocking is like, it makes it harder for a team. Like Kristen, I felt was a much better presser as a blocker. And Marina was a little more crafty and really like she could pull and just dig everything anytime she got off the net. And when in the middle of a match, you're alternating styles of defense almost every side out, it really makes it a little bit harder for that other team to kind of know what's coming at them, right? Like they have to every play be that much more aware of who's at the net, who's not. what their strengths and weaknesses are, depending on who's up there. So I think there's a versatility. You obviously have to have a team where the talent, you don't feel like you're hurting yourself when one person's in the back and one's in the front.
Yes.
And you can always start split. And if it's like a 14-14 game, okay, well, where have we been scoring our points? Is there a clear, better pair against who we're playing against? Okay, let's finich that way.
Yeah. That's
saves
how.
saves your blockers' legs.
Yep. That's how Trevor and Reed won, right? Remember Trevor and Reed Pretty in Manhattan Beach? They made a decision at the end. I think it was Trevor that was going to go up and block. It had to be him. Jose said it's got to be you, and they, and now they're on the pier, etched in the pier.
So I think in the next 5 to 15 years, you're going to start seeing the game's going to get even bigger, and you're going to start seeing some of these people that could be blockers. Again, like I think Taylor Sander, I agree that given he just jumped into it and he's already playing against some of the best in the country and world, I think it's probably easier to use his physicality at the net short term, but long term, I mean, again, I just think his style of play, like that guy, he's a really good blocker already at the beach, but defensively, like that guy hits balls. I've never seen anything like it. Like there's no one, he's hit balls. And I'm like, that's the first time I've ever seen that happen. Yeah. And there's not a lot of players that give me that feeling after all these years. But
all of the players that give me that feeling were the ones that were indoor that recently transitioned to outdoor. Like when Reed Pretty recently transitioned to outdoor, he had this like, holy shit, if you're not going to stop this at the net, it ain't getting dug. In fact, the camera didn't even, the camera pixels, right, didn't even keep up with it. So yeah.
I've just never seen someone cut that sharp ball so hard and down, even against that quality of block. And if you dive on it, he's used to play double and triple block. His inside out down the line. It's just he's creating angles that no one else even I agree, like Reed had a can of an arm, but I don't know if anyone has ever come to the beach with Taylor Sanders' versatility.
It's been a minute
with his liner cross.
It's been a minute, and it's been so long we don't remember, and in our mind they don't exist until we can remember. And I agree with you in that respect, 100%. But a lot of indoor players, Krasilnikov, when he hit from Russia, when he hit the outdoor scene, it was and it's like, oh shit. On a local level, remember KJ, Chris Austin's partner, that jump serve that was like that. If you're not literally in there, it's just gonna fly off of a body part. It made you giggle. The serve was that fast. You're like, did I just do that? Yeah, no, don't do that. It's like, don't do that. All right, so topic number 4, the junior scene. All right, it's more of our wheelhouse. The junior scene for beach volleyball is still on a roll. Since it became an NCAA sport, the club sizes for beach juniors have tripled. Showcases for recruiting are popping up more, and girls who previously would split time with indoor and the sand are making the decision to take their talents to the beach. So, what are 3 things that attract juniors to the beach over indoor? Now, our basic rule is we can say the same things on this because there might be 10 things, or there might just be really 3 that we can think of. So let's allow each other permission. You're going to go first on this. Floor is yours. Give me 3 things that you think attract. Wait. Sorry. The first question was, what are 3 things that attract juniors to the beach over indoor? And the second question is, what are 3 things that attract coaches from coaching indoor to the beach? So we can divide and conquer.
Ooh.
You want to do the players?
I'll do the players. You're good with that?
Yeah. I'm not going to call you a lazy fuck. I think it's I think it's fun and
I'll do both. You just said we're splitting, so
let's rinse and repair at the end. You got the players.
I got a lot more with players, just because honestly, even in I'm in Chicago, it's not the biggest shift yet.
Right.
Although I can tell you my coaches are enjoying it. So, all right, 3 things.
Floor's yours.
Boom. 2 of them are going to be more universal. Third will probably be us. So, number 1, versatility. I get 6 foot 15-year-olds that have never been allowed to pass. I get girls with good whips that are shorter that have never been allowed to swing. So, I think kids like to be able to do everything. There's no playing time drama. There's no bench drama. It's just you're there, you're playing. Number 2, I think they like the flexibility in my program. Parents pay a deposit, and then each practice they develop. But because you don't need your position players, practices you can show up on days you want, you don't have to. My kids are going to go play in college. They are always there. I don't have to push that, right? And the kids that want to be other things other than volleyball players, they get to play a sport at a very high level and do other things with their life. And the third one, and kind of more on ours, is just the individual attention. Every single kid in my program I work with. So our college bound kids all the way to the sixth graders that have never touched a ball before. So I think everyone gets that one team treatment in beach in a way that if I ran an indoor club and got bigger, I literally couldn't give that same touch because, we have to have a specific coach for each individual team.
I like that. Okay, allow me to tackle the coach's part. We'll definitely do a little rinse and repair at the end. Interesting, because it's
You can't ask me for a minute on
juniors
topics.
It's too interesting. I mean, come on, this is our wheelhouse, more so than you than me. I'm in and out all over the place. So for me, three things that attract indoor coaches to coach beach. One, there's no bench on the beach, and in the club scene, one of the biggest concerns is if you have a mid-level program, there's always concern with parents and playing time. They're paying all this money, they want to see their kid play. Some of the elite clubs, the parents already know the deal. Your kid's just there to practice, okay, and cheer on, and we've seen programs like that as well. So I like the no bench on the beach for the coach, for the coach's perspective, because he's not really have to be beholden to parents or whatever and do all that. So the second thing I like is the coach's mentality is less stressful. You're suffering less from post-referee whistle syndrome. I mean, you're in an indoor scene, it's like, but it's referee PTSD. Okay, so the environment's less hostile. You got to do, again, it goes back to the parents too, who walk around like 90s rappers and shit. It's just angry all the goddamn time. And the third thing I like is, as a coach, you there's less personalities to manage, right? You want to manage 12 people, and you want to make time for everybody. You need an assistant coach, maybe a third assistant, where beach, you really, depending on the number of people, and especially in the in-game situation, you're worried about two people. They're not going to be benched. You can't bench them for anything. So now you have to really do your freaking job, right? It's like I sub you out for, no, I can't. So those are the three things I like. There's no bench on the beach. Two, don't have to worry about the not toxic, the hectic environment of indoor, because outdoor everyone's relaxed. The mom's eating chicken fingers and sneaking in wine and shit. So there's that. I mean, the only drawback is, like, I coach indoor. I know my car's clean. You know what I'm saying? I'll leave the beach. Point. I'm like, man, I got this California dust. I got to clean my car all the time. That's going to be the most expensive damn thing you ever do because you're coaching beach. So something you would like to add?
Yeah, I just think, and I can't speak for other regions, but like our region, had a really chaotic year after COVID. I mean, versus refunding parents, they slam them into makeups in the spring. They were playing club while doing high school. It was chaos. And within 5 weeks of July, the big clubs voted to move tryouts up. And I'm going to tell you right now, it is about money. I'm not going to pull punches with it. The smaller club directors hate it. The high schools hate it. The parents hate it. The players want to break. But if the small clubs don't run tryouts at the same time, the big clubs will poach their kids. If kids don't commit to that contract in July, then the club will find someone else and they lose their spot. So I've got a couple players that are finally starting to realize that while beach in the Midwest is not the norm, my program is not the norm. And I can't replicate giving you middle or setter reps for indoor. There are things that beach cannot apples to apples train that club can. I think people are starting to realize that, maybe the norm isn't so normal. Maybe don't get me wrong. There are players that have great coaches, great programs, great teams, and they have a great club experience, and that's awesome. Stay there. But there are a lot of families that are trying to provide for their kids equal opportunities. And the people in power that are supposed to be guiding them are looking at them as an extra check. And there's nothing those players and parents can do that if they're not a certain caliber of athlete, they're not going to get the same opportunities as some of their bigger, faster, stronger peers. So I feel that beach is going to become the sport for the kids that they have the drive to play at a high level for them, like be the best they can be, but they're at a physical level, whether it's because of their size, their physicality, they play other things beyond volleyball year round. Where the current system does not allow them to have the same opportunities for growth as some of their peers. And I think Beach was my solution to make sure that I can still challenge my college bound kids and give them proper training so that they were prepared to play at the next level, while not doing so at the expense of the quality of education for my kids that had the same drive. Maybe they weren't going to play in college, but their parents are paying a lot of money. They're investing a lot of time, and they want the same opportunities for growth, the same educational tools that their better, faster, stronger peers or more dedicated peers might have.
Yeah, and it definitely works. It builds character, and like you said, it's not necessarily for kids about where they want to go to college and what kind of scholarship they're going to get. I mean, it's coaching these kids and having them conquer these demons are definitely translate to academics, definitely translate to their debate team, definitely translates to other things, maybe studying medicine. And it doesn't seem like it's related, but the drive and, like you said, the ambition and how to problem solve in sports in general, but in beach volleyball and specificity, if that's a word, yeah, it works. It works. I mean, to some kids, the first time they will ever lose in their life is going to be in a sporting event. The first time they will ever experience a loss is going to be in a sporting event. So, once again, well said. And I didn't even mean to add anything on that. Sometimes I just got to let a mic drop, for Christ's sakes, and move on to the next topic.
Let's do it.
All right. So next topic, the topic 5. Bryan, you are a long-time juniors coach. And the work you have put in over the years and in the manner in how you do it has gained the love and respect of many of your peers, mine in particular.
Polarizing.
Yeah, well, we're not going to straw man the people. It's in our human nature to be for like one person not to like us and pay all that attention to that one person. And in that case, I'm 50 years old enough to say fuck them. In the spirit of doing what we love, this is a question that came from me and inspired by you, the coach and the fan. What is one important thing you look a kid in the eye and tell them that shapes their approach to this game?
Oof. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I want all my kids to know that my job and goal is to help them get as far as they're willing to go, right? Like, I'm willing to go as hard training as you're willing to put in. And I want them, when they're there, to give their absolute physical best effort. I want them to know that if they do that, that I'll always be proud of that and that I will recognize the growth. And I've never had a kid that's truly bought in that hasn't gotten better. They might not all win tournaments. They might not all make it to college, but I've never met a kid that if you got them to believe in themselves and they put the work in, that they didn't improve. And so regardless of whether my kids play in college, regardless of whether my kids just want to do it as a secondary thing, I want them to know that they have value that goes beyond their win-loss record. I want them to learn how to deal with adversity, those life lessons you talked about, and know that as a coach, it's a privilege to work with them, and I'm proud of them regardless of where they are in the win-loss column, as long as they're playing the right way. And they do.
You almost made me cry. Oh, man, wait till I see you. You almost got me, dude. Tears, Bryan. That means I'm being serious. That means a lot. I'm kidding about the tears, but like the seriousness of what you said, should not be glossed over with my bad satire. That was great. Now, my turn. Now, this question was inspired by you because we had previous conversations, and it's a sentiment that's always stuck with me. But you put it in the best words you knew how, and I'm going to put it in the best words I know how right now. I will look that kid in the eye, and I will bring myself down to eye level and not speak up here like an asshole. And I will say, don't let anyone tell you what you can and can't do. Don't let anyone, I'm going to say it again, don't let anyone tell you what you can and can't do. I remember you telling me a story about certain coaches lining kids up against the wall. You're tall, you're small, you're going to be this, you're never going to be that. You might as well forget it if you want to do this and this and that. And I say absolute baloney, because there are way too many examples in every sport, never mind our sport, beach volleyball, where it's like, oh, that's just the one person. No, it's not just the one person. The Kristen Nusses, right? Who was the best player in college volleyball, and her and Taryn going on a whatever. Taylor Crabb, 6'1", graciously listed at 6'1" and 6'2", right? Player of the year at Long Beach State University. A few years later, the best player, voted best player in the AVP. And then this land of giants where people shape and size you and tell you what you can and can't do. At the end of the day, why the hell is it these normal size people winning MVP? Why? Because coaches like you and coaches like me told them, hey, I'm going to be real. You want to be an outside hitter? Yeah, 6 inches shorter than the average girl. But if this is what you want, that's the box. Those are the stairs. I'm your coach. That's your sports psychologist. Let's get to work.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, the reality is 16 out of 17 kids aren't going to play in college that played high school sports. 16 out of 17. And so much of what the experts and the governing bodies in our sports, for youth sports, talks about doesn't cater to the majority. And don't get me wrong, like, we have to make sure that we put a system in place that allows our top players to be pushed to be the absolute best. But when you've got an industry that was a $19 billion industry, and there are studies that show that it's looking to be closer to $77 billion by 2026. Mm-hmm. And it's not being done by taking care of kids. And we're not talking about the fact that successful college athletes are taking their own lives. We're not talking about the fact that I'm tired of listening to people destroy this generation of kids and talk about how soft they are when we didn't have. You cannot play volleyball in high school in this area and not play year round. Like, you can't be at a high level program and that coach isn't going to hold it against you if you don't play for a club and the clubs are expecting you to be there pretty much every single month that you're not in high school season.
Yes. And if it's your 11-month experience or 12-month experience.
And I'm part of this online group of parents, and boy, have I really enjoyed that versus any coaching group. And not to knock my coaches, but listening to the parents really talk from the heart about, you can see how they're struggling because they want to provide their kid the same opportunities as their peers. They don't want to feel like they're not giving their kid the same opportunities. But they can also see how a lot of these kids are getting destroyed by their youth sports experience because they're not getting good coaches, And I know I've gone on this tangent before, but the one big one that's really upsetting, and I'm trying to get my parents to understand, if a club cannot tell you who the coach is going to be before you sign the contract, do not sign the contract. And a lot of parents are like, well, no club gives us that transparency. Well, as long as you keep cutting the check, then they're not going to give that transparency. But we're breaking kids, and the powers that be in our it's so weird because what makes money isn't about what's good for the kids. And we're just ignoring how bad the culture of youth sports is as a whole. Not saying there aren't good programs or good coaches, but top to bottom, it is for the amount of money that parents pay, it is robbery, the experience that they get sometimes. And I just feel so bad for parents that are trying to do the right thing. And sadly, for some of them, honestly, I think the right thing is, you know what? This culture is not benefiting you. This culture is using you to fund the houses of these rich directors and not actually focus on, are you going to be better as a human being once you leave youth sports versus feeling worse about yourself?
But don't
No, go ahead.
But don't you think that's where don't you think that coaches should fucking know their role on this? Like you just said a minute ago about the number of people who make it as college athletes or whatever and this and that, right? The one person who should not come into that situation with that mindset is the coach. You come into that mindset about this realistic or whatever, you're going to find yourself not doing your fucking job. It is not your place to be telling people who can make it and who can't. Your job is to coach, to look at someone, to ask what they want out of it and to maximize that ability. You got to be real with them, but you can't come in with that mindset because it seeps into your approach as a coach. You, in so many ways, you might fail that kid as a coach if you do that.
I'm a layer deeper. Like you're talking about the coaches. I'm talking about the directors that hire underqualified coaches.
Ooh. Ooh, you
And
in
I'm
hot
talking
water
about
now,
and I'm
boy.
and I'm and I'm talking about the governing bodies that say, hey, you can, after tryouts, be someone that knows nothing about volleyball. Take this 3-hour impact certification that's don't be alone with the kids, don't touch the kids, don't give a ride to the kids. And then you're a club coach. Like USAV could fix it like that. If they took the juniors' money and instead of funding our national teams, actually put it back into the juniors' education, either make it more affordable for better education, better education. There are so many coaches that, I'll be frank, I've got a player that is playing for me. She's such a hard worker. She's a sweet kid. She was coaching a 12s team, and I watched one. She was actually at my facility coaching her team. She's good. She's got the right intent, but the fact that these parents are paying thousands of dollars for someone that honestly is just learning things herself, right? Like you're starting to see in Chicago 17 and 18-year-olds that are working and that play for the club, and the club's like, you know what, we're 5 to 10 coaches short. Let's not cut these kids and actually let them go to a program where we have a coach that might be good for them. Let's just find anyone that can fill the blank. And now the bigger clubs are starting to see like, oh yeah, we can, some of these kids want to work off their club dues. Well, let's just let them coach one of the other teams, and then instead of paying a coach, we just have our club due not, they get a discount on it. The people up top don't recognize how many parents and players bounce from club to club year to year. And the clubs that are doing a poor job for their bottom half of their club, they don't get punished because another 100 to 150 kids are going to come from the other clubs that are disgruntled, right? Like it's, okay, here's your ones teams. Let's protect them. Let's make sure we give them good coaches. They're happy. And then all these kids that are going to leave, let's just make sure instead of figuring out how do we give that group a better education, well, let's just make sure we market to all the kids that had that same experience at another club and bring them in. And it's
crap.
It's just not about the kids. It's about the money. And I'm not saying people shouldn't make money for a good product, but the idea that the richest club directors by me, for the majority of the families, if you asked them off the record, they would say, I didn't get what I thought we were paying for. We need to find a way to make the quality of education matter more. And I think it sits with the parents. The parents have to start realizing if I'm paying all this money and my kid is not clearly getting better, or my kid doesn't feel at least like they're starting to feel better about themselves. If a coach is just screaming at my kids, but not actually giving them the proper education to go with it. Like we have to up our standards. And if we can't do it, then.
And that starts with the program director. I really like your assertion on that because
absolutely,
if they can create this environment where the kids are driven and if they have the coaches capable of doing that, that is the win-win-win. For example, LA Volleyball Club, like we have 2 13s teams, right? One is like the 13s ones. They practice together for 2 years, or they play together for 2 years. They're making a run. They're in a PVL. They got a bid for nationals. And there's me. I got the twos, the girls that didn't even know how to play a position that are now playing organized, traditional, some systems we were going 2 pass because they were serving lollipops. It was like real, old school. But that's not the point. The point you were trying to make, and I think I'd like to echo that sentiment, is you set up this environment where the kids can't wait to come to practice, where the learning curve, the educational curve and the value is not only instilled in them, but leaves them wanting more. That's a win. And like you said, there's no 1 or 2 coaches that's going to do that. That has to be the program director on down. Plug out Jason Olive. I don't get to experience a lot of things you do because I've been kind of spoiled. Like you consider my program directors, Evolution, Duncan Avery, one of the greatest human beings that you'll ever meet in your life. Oh, and God bless him and his kids, okay? Duron Forbes, you're not the kind of person you want to do business with all the time, but on a personal note, she loves the game, she cares about the game, and she sees a lot of stuff coming a mile away. And now J.O., we have a blood oath where he takes care of all of the bells and whistles where all I got to do is coach. And it's coaching heaven. It's the youngest group I've ever coached on a personal note, but it's the most gratifying because
you get so many big jumps when you're young. You know what I mean? You get more aha moments.
Yeah, but I love what you said about that because it starts with the program director because half of the time the ones team that they're protecting that they think has a good coach, that's not even a good coach either. He's a fuck. Don't do I need to get started on the glorified babysitter thing? No, I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna leave that for another time because
All I tell people
we trying to bang out
is
50 minutes on this thing and we good. But go ahead. Sorry.
yeah. The main thing I tell parents is like, you know what? Show me their lowest level team and what type of experience they're getting, and that's how I mark a program. You know what I mean? Like, you go, any club would take the top teams in Chicago right now and win. Like, you get all the genetic outliers and you give them a decent amount of coaching, they're going to be successful, right? But show me what your weakest coach. What is the weakest coach you're willing to hire? Like, I've got 4 coaches. I stand by all of them, and I'm literally paying them to spend 2 hours a week playing with them because I want to teach them on the court. Okay. And I respect their time.
Yeah, a little jump in. Yeah.
And it's important to me. And I like that because also, like, when you play with your coaches, and it's something that you could do more with Beach, right? But like, by playing with my coaches, like, I feel our coaching staff has as much empathy as any coaching staff I've ever been a part of, because when you've had to go through it, right, you're a lot more patient. And most of my coaches that come in are very talented indoor players with a lot of they've got the right mentality. Like, I find the coaches, they might be raw, but I'm like, your personality I can't teach. I can teach the rest.
Yeah, and they're never going to hurt your game. They're just levels how much they can help. Then that kind of person rarely hurts your game.
Right. So, like, right now, like, they're helping with the camp, and they're good. Like, they know the basic stuff, but I want to train them up so that if I ever don't have the ability to be with one of my advanced groups and they work with them, it's not like, the substitute teacher where it's like we're popping a video in, right? Like, I want the education to still be the same, even it might be different, but it shouldn't be lower. And so I just think it's important. Like, again, I understand when these organizations have no financial incentive if you look at it strictly as a business, but at some point, shouldn't we look at youth sports as something that can be a business, but shouldn't be at the expense of the quality of the well-being for the kids?
Yeah. I mean, half of youth sports, all they got to do is read their own mission statement, their mission statement as a sales pitch, so they can have good business. If you actually read your own sales pitch, if you follow that, it's like, wow, okay, I can, wow, I get paid. I don't get paid to care. I'm going to care for free. I'm going to care for free. So, lightning round questions. These are just for you. 60 seconds. We're going to bang out as many as we can. All right, ready?
All right.
And sorry, let's get my horn ready. And boom. Okay, solo lightning rounds. Pool or beach?
Beach. I can't swim.
Who's a better player, you or your wife?
Oh, Kristen. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Last good book you read?
Right now I'm reading Strategy of You by Rich Horowitz. It's actually the parent of one of my players. I needed that. It's a good book.
Favorite childhood athlete?
Michael Jordan.
Cool. Marvel or DC?
I don't pay as much attention to it, but I've watched the Avengers of Marvel.
Okay. Your other favorite sport to watch?
High level tennis. I was a big Federer fan, and we've gotten so spoiled with Djokovic, Federer, and Nadal. Awesome sport in person too.
Ice cream or cupcakes?
Ice cream. Bad habit.
I'm addicted. Hip hop artists you grew up listening to?
Ooh, Tribe Called Quest, Eminem, Ludacris, Snoop.
Nice. Your favorite volleyball venue when you played?
Ooh, I'll tell you, I didn't play. I played there last year. I like the Island. Keep your eye on the Island. They're still constructing. Island's going to be something
Where is
big.
This? Where?
Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
Just wait till the promised land's being built right now. They're trying to be done by July. I was there a couple weeks ago. I was there in September. I don't think Tom Davenport gets credit for his impact on the beach volleyball community.
No doubt. And Davenport people need to pay attention to.
And let me tell you, watching that event last weekend, and from the morning to the end, that guy's moving tables, he's moving chairs. I have respect for a guy that absolutely could have everyone else do things, but he just wants it done a certain way. He cares. Love that place. I used to love playing at Bradford Beach when I was competing. I played there over Chicago tournaments. Todd Goronski. Miss having him as a promoter. He was fantastic. So that's where a lot of my memories stem
Yeah.
from. So
There's a big plug, Tom Davenport, south of the border vacations, man. You made that happen. It was the best vacation I've ever been on my life. In my life.
nice.
Um, so that's all I got, but I'd like to finish, and you're gonna finish after me. But I want to give a shout out to Miles Evans. When I met Miles Evans, we were coaching together at Endless Summer, and he was kind of like a player coach, and again, the kind of person that wasn't gonna hurt your game. It was just a question of how much he was gonna help. Is he a player coaching or is he a coach, right? And then he's been training a guy that I made friends with. I sang karaoke with last night, and they were just showing me videos of like the training and some of the conversations he's been having, and I saw this guy show significant improvement in like a 4 month period, and he credits Miles, and I've been watching Miles work with him on the beach. So Miles, big shout out. I always tease players that become coaches because I'm like, y'all a bunch of hacks, but the respect I have for the work he's put in, particularly with this guy, you have my profound respect. So my mad props Monday, it's Tuesday though, goes to Miles Evans. Okay.
Nice. It'll be testimonial Tuesday, right?
Yeah. There it
So,
is.
cool.
Shit. All I need is you to keep the rhythm going. Anything you want to say before we get out of here?
No, man, appreciate you having me. You know, if you're in the Chicagoland area and you're a
I'm
beach
coming.
person, hit me up.
I'm coming.
Yeah, man, let me know. So, but it's been fun to occasionally have some transplants come in, and we've got
Mhm.
2 indoor courts, and happy to help people find games. Any youth sports parents or players listening, be true to
Progression.
yourself. Do what you want to do.
Mhm.
Find a program that, you have to be realistic, but find a program that respects you and is transparent with you. And if the norm ain't serving you, don't be afraid to break away from it. You will not regret it once you're done with it. A lot of my players are very nervous to leave what the norm is in the area, but not a lot of them look back once they start. So I hope people find the courage to find their own path if the paths being presented to them don't always serve them.
There it is. All right, cool, man. That's a great message. Brian might love you guys, but me, I don't love any of you guys. In fact, I can't stand you. So I'm out of here. All right, I've had it with you. So for all of you at home, for all of you on the lunch line at Starbucks, for all of you on your desktop, for all of you on your Droid, if that's still a thing. I don't even think anyone has a Droid anymore. For my man from Progression Beach Volleyball in Chicago, Bryan McDermand. This is episode 141. I'm Jason DeBeas. I'm going to hit my music. Stay with me. But for now, we are out of here. Come check out the Option Podcast on OptionVB.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear.